Scene Daddy Interviews.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to the Scene Daddy podcast. My name is Ian, and I am here on the phone right now with Braxton of Hold Close. Braxton, man, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, bud?
Not too bad. We had just talked off air about how I all of a sudden have a crazy cough, and I know you're in Nashville right now. Are you guys dealing with any sort of weather issues at all?
Not here. I mean, it's pretty chilly, but nothing that we're not used to already.
Oh, okay. So none of the polar vortex or anything like that?
No, I think we're getting like the tail end of it right now. It's supposed to get down to like 28 tonight or some shit.
Oh, it's not bad. I mean, right now in Boston, it's like 10 or so. By the time you guys make it up here to the East Coast, it probably won't be that bad.
Yeah, I really hope not.
Now, you're from Missouri, right?
Yeah.
Springfield, Missouri, right? Yeah. I don't know a ton about the weather there. Are you guys used to it being colder, hotter? What is it normally for you?
The past few days, it's apparently been pretty damn cold in Springfield. Like, we got snow last night or something like that, and they're getting some of that vortex crap, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Glad I'm not that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, right now, tonight, you're in Nashville. So let's even skip all that weather stuff. I got to ask, how's the tour been so far? I know you guys are just starting out.
The tour has definitely been probably the coolest tour that we've done so far.
Very cool.
We're with As It Is, Sharptooth, and Point North.
Mm-hmm.
And all the shows have been super packed with awesome people, and just it's a good vibe all around. All the bands are super nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I'm loving it out here.
That's really great to hear. Because I know you're going to be, I think you're on tour to the end of February.
Yeah, it's a 5-week tour, I believe.
Okay. So for you mentioned the vibe of, the bands that are playing, the people that are coming out to see you. What really makes, when do you know you've had a really great set, especially on this tour itself?
This tour, we were kind of stressing out a little bit before we got on the road, but I think the few nights into it, we started feeling really comfortable with it, and started vibing with the whole set and everything was running really smooth. So yeah, it's just playing every night makes it all way easier, and we just feel better about it each night.
Oh, okay. Is it sort of working out those kinks? And we'll kind of transition into this. I did want to congratulate you. The new album Time came out on Hopeless Records a little bit more than a week ago. So I'm assuming you're trying to work all the new tracks in a whole new set. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's literally it. We haven't been playing any of the old songs on this tour. We're just really trying to push the new record.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of bald, but and the record came out the second show of the tour, and yeah, so the first show it was just I hope it's all smooth.
Right. Well, how much practice time did you put in to making sure you had the set list down for yourselves?
I mean, whenever we got home from the last tour, we each of us would practice and stuff a little bit on our own, and it wasn't until about a week before this tour started that we all got together, and because it was holiday stuff and we were all kind of busy with family, and about the week before the tour started, we got together and just started going hard and getting everything ready.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, that's not a whole lot of practice time. And then, I was going to ask I understand the whole point of pushing the new album, but to not be doing anything off of I Was Never Meant to Stay or I'll Never Go Back, that's really interesting. Did you guys get together to have that kind of discussion of why you wanted to do it that way?
We kind of, on the last tour, we basically got together and we're like, yeah, we just want to play the new songs. Really, we've been playing the old songs for a long time. Well, not a long time, but it feels like a long time for us. And
sure.
We just, I don't know. It's a different vibe with all the new stuff. I play keys and stuff now.
Yep.
And we did do that on the old songs. So I don't know. It's a different feeling with like I said, a different vibe and all that.
Right.
But it's something that we felt like we should probably do, I guess.
Okay.
It seems to be working. So
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, you're fitting in with everyone. I mean, Point North is, pop punk. They're a little bit more on the aggressive side. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about how Time is a lot different from your previous material. And then you've got Sharp Tooth, and then you've got As It Is. So if you're right there as a second band that's going on, this will be a definitely different sound compared to, Sharp Tooth coming up next. Like, is it a surprise to people when you come
it's
out?
honestly a big surprise, like because like you said, Point North is still pretty pop punk, which is awesome to start the show that way. And then we go on with like some, I mean, we still play some songs that are a little more upbeat, but we're playing a lot of chill stuff too.
Sure.
And it's definitely a different vibe, and people are a little surprised by it. But the response has been very, very good. Like everyone's loving it.
Good.
A lot of people love like that. All the bands are completely different on this tour. Like nobody sounds the same at all, which is really cool. And then Sharp Tooth comes up and just blows everyone away. And then As It Is goes on.
Right. Yeah, that is a really good point to bring up. So I was going to ask you about bringing keys into Time and bringing in, a little bit more electronics into there as well. What is your setup like on stage? Is it weird for you to like acclimate yourself to that?
It is a little weird. I'm still getting used to it,
Mhm.
but I really, really love it. And people seem to be liking it a lot because I'm like, I don't know, like on the last tour, or not the last tour, but with the older stuff, it was just starting to get boring for me. Just being like on a mic the whole time. I wanted to be doing something different.
Ah, okay.
And whenever we discussed like bringing keys and everything, we were just like, nobody really does this. No one's doing this, and it could really make us different, basically. And I think we're all really, really enjoying it. Honestly,
Great.
I know.
Yeah. So with, playing keys and doing all that, did you have to learn that for this actual album, or did you have that experience in the past?
Honestly, I've never really played keys in my life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So whenever we started talking about it, like I had Jesse has a like little electronic keyboard that we were storing at our practice space that I took home.
Yeah.
And just started messing around with that and just trying to figure it out by ear and teaching myself kind of, and like just simple things that I could figure out. And I was just like, we could probably make this work. And then I got a keyboard, and one day we just went to practice and tried something, and it sounded cool and different, definitely different from anything that we've done before. And it just, I don't know, it felt cool, felt right. So
Okay.
we stuck with it.
No, that's really interesting. I think you've actually taken a complete, like the opposite step of what a lot of musicians do, where if you're a front man who's playing guitar, or you're a front man that's playing another instrument, you normally, or some people, they get away from that so that they can just hold the mic, but you've gone the complete opposite direction. That's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And there's still songs where like there's not a lot of keys in it, maybe
Right.
like a bridge or a verse, so I'll be on the mic still. But then there's like the softer songs like Tropical Depression where I'm on the keys basically the whole time.
Ah,
And it's just fun to go back and forth and stuff.
wow. And I think we had talked about this off air. I will be seeing you very soon. I'm just not sure when when this show is going to actually come out, but I should be seeing you around next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how all of that works for you since it is so new. But I'm glad you're saying that, every show things are getting better, things are flowing, nicer for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I'm stoked for you to be able to come see us too. That'll be cool.
I'm looking forward to it. I've been a fan for a while. So I think that's a good place to start with this. So was it the boredom why you wanted to try something so different with Time? Because I can tell you from listening to your previous EPs, and then hearing even the first track of Time, it's so incredibly different. How did you guys decide that that's where, the direction you wanted to go in?
Well, I mean, it would have been very, very easy for us to basically write 2 EPs just like we did before and call it an album.
Mhm.
But that wouldn't really be us growing as a band.
Sure.
And so we just really wanted to try something completely, completely different. And like that, like you said, that first song is very different, and I think that's a perfect first like listen to see what we're doing. And yeah, I don't know, it's just something didn't we just didn't want to write the same stuff basically.
Oh yeah. No, I can completely understand that. Obviously, the scene is full of bands that do very similar things sometimes. It does seem like you're going off in your own direction. I was just wondering, was there an instance, when you're touring maybe with the older material at some point that you were just like, guys, let's get together and talk about this next direction? Or was it something just organic that you made that first track and you go, this feels right?
mm, I want to say maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like, on previous tours before the keys were ever brought into play and all that, like, I don't know, they're just, whenever we first kind of started, there was a strong vibe, and then as the shows went on, like, they just felt boring, and that's never good, honestly.
Right.
The shows don't need to be boring; they need to be exciting, and we all need to be having fun still. And there was no way we were just gonna like quit or anything like that. So we were just like, let's just kind of, yeah, just do something very different.
Right. Right. No, I totally get it. And I enjoyed my multiple listens through this album. It's a very, very enjoyable album, even with the topics that you're talking about. It was just so interesting to me to be able to go back and really compare, the first two EPs to this first full length, because I don't know if there are a ton of bands that have done that big of a change that early on in their career. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
think,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, I think that, crap, now I forgot what I was
Oh,
gonna say.
it's my fault.
No, you're good. Go ahead with what you were gonna say.
Oh, no, I was just going to kind of turn it to, the album itself, because I thought something that was very interesting was, going from that first track, Time, as we mentioned, you kind of have a theme that goes through when you look at Aura and Separation, where you're using that same phrase, that time will always heal. And I thought that was really interesting. Was that your template for starting Time?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
It all kind of happened on its own.
Mhm.
I knew that like that phrase would be used, but I didn't think we'd use it as much. And I'm glad that we did, because the word time is literally in every single song on the record.
Mhm.
And yeah, like whenever we were writing in the studio and stuff and wrapping it all up, we were just like, this is kind of what the record's all about in a way. Just growth and time and everything like that.
Right. Yeah, and I think anyone who listens to the album all the way through, maybe even, whatever song, is definitely going to hear it just like you said. So what was that recording process like, since it was such a different experience for you guys with you learning keys? How do you guys normally write, and what was different about being in the studio this time?
Hmm. It was really cool because like the first day that we were in the studio and we were talking with Seth Henderson, he was just like, all right, where should we start? And I pulled out, well, eventually like I had the keys, and he was just like, wait, there's keys now? Like, what? This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, there you
And he was really stoked about it. And it was really just kind of an experiment the whole time we were in the studio. Like just trying different things, trying different sounds, different tones, different
Mhm.
guitars, different key sounds, different melodies, literally anything. Just experiment, experiment, experiment. And it was, yeah, it was like a giant science project.
Well, normally a lot of times when a band goes into the studio to do that, you're kind of pressed for time. How was that like for you guys at that moment?
um, Everything was going really smooth the whole time. There wasn't really any rush for anything, I don't think.
Okay.
It was like I got nervous towards the end. 'Cause, like the last week, I ended up getting like a 24-hour bug or something,
Ah,
and I was just like out the whole day. And we were supposed to start or supposed to do vocals that whole day, and I couldn't. So they just kind of like threw in all this little extra stuff that we were gonna do last minute, and
mhm.
so luckily it all, like, it wasn't stressful or anything. But yeah, everything was really really smooth and a lot of fun. And Seth even said himself that like he's hasn't had this much fun with a record and since Copacetic, and that was
Ah,
really cool to hear.
Wow. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is really
yeah.
impressive then. So, as a vocalist, and I'm bouncing around here a lot, but especially when I speak to vocalists and you talk about being in the studio, you had that 24-hour bug. We talked because right before we started this, I had this weird cough that I hadn't had all day. Is there any, is there any remedy? Is there anything that you do to make sure that your voice is good? And also, I guess let's tie this in as well, because you've been doing more harsh vocals in the past than compared to what you're doing with, the new album Time. Has that changed for you? Have you had to do anything different? Have you been able to relax a little bit more? What's it like for you?
On stage, it's definitely a lot easier for me
Hmm.
because like the past stuff, like I was just basically like a high range the whole fucking set, and
Right.
it was very, very tiring, and I ran out of breath a lot. And I mean, I would do warm ups and stuff, and I say just drink a lot of water. Like every vocalist will say, drink a lot of water and make
Right.
sure you're getting rest, and that's will definitely help. But yeah, with the new stuff, it's a good mix of soft and high, and it just it keeps me not running out of breath and not getting super winded or anything like that during a set, which is really good.
Yeah.
And my voice hasn't had any problems on this tour.
Good.
There's been past tours where like it'd get a little raspy and hard to hit some high notes, which that'll still happen, but just practice and practice and it'll get better. But yeah.
Oh, okay. So no major differences between what you're doing on tour and what you do in studio.
No, not really. I would drink a lot of like throat coat tea in the studio.
Okay.
Um that stuff with like honey and stuff, and that would help because in the studio like I'll be going just like all day
Mhm.
just singing and tracking different stuff, and it can definitely put a damper on it. But yeah, like on the road, I just drink a lot of water and just kind of rest, I guess.
Right. Right. No, that all totally makes sense. So, when did you figure out, or did you already know that you could do so many different, functions with your vocals? Because there are a lot of different styles in Time. So, was that something when you were experimenting that you found, or did you already kind of know that that's what you wanted to do?
It was definitely when we were experimenting in the studio. Like I knew I wanted to not sing as high the whole time, but
Mhm.
I didn't really quite know if I could or know how to do it. And then like Seth really, really pushed me and kind of coached me through everything. And he was like, I think we found your other voice. Like I didn't know that you had a voice that could do this, which was really cool. And I was just like, yeah, honestly, I didn't either. And yeah, he definitely helped me find that.
Oh, very cool. Now, since we've never had a chance to speak, what is your background with vocals? Did you have actual training before you started with Hold Close? Did you have any other bands? That kind of stuff.
I mean, all of us have basically played in bands since we were in high school,
Okay.
and like every day after high school, I would just go in my room. I had this playlist of like Blink 182 songs that I would just play on guitar and sing along to, and that's kind of how it started. Like I guess I just kind of taught myself how to do it.
Yeah.
Never really had lessons. I thought about lessons before, but whenever I went to talk to someone, he was like, "Well, you basically like know what to do, so there's not really a lot I could teach you," which
Huh.
I thought complete bullshit.
Yeah.
There's always something more I could learn. But
Right.
yeah, it definitely like I think I found my voice with the first EP,
Hmm.
and Seth, like I said, with the new stuff helped me find that. He helped me find that then too. So I would say Seth is kind of my vocal coach.
Ah, okay. All right. That definitely works. So did you have any guitar training at all? Was there a reason why you went more in line with vocals and not trying to be a guitarist?
No, I just whenever I was 13, I got a guitar from a friend and just started teaching myself, same as vocals, to just playlists of Blink songs in my room and figuring everything out by ear. And as I kind of learned a little bit more, like I had put that towards the keys and everything, and put that towards my vocals. And like I feel like I don't really like someone showing me. I like to figure it out on myself or on my own.
Ah, okay. Yeah. especially with everything you said about being in the studio with Seth and, going over things and experimenting. It does seem like you're kind of it's a very cliche, but to say do it yourself, for, merch and all that kind of stuff, but you're doing it yourself for the vocals and the music as well.
Oh yeah, and like with Seth, I would let him show me stuff all day long. He's an awesome teacher when it comes to stuff like that. He's got a lot of knowledge and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and he's about the only person I would trust, I guess.
Yeah. Well, since, you found Seth at the beginning, how did you decide to work with him in the first place?
It was some buddies of ours from Oklahoma. They had recorded with them or with him for like an EP or some few songs, and he was just like, "Yeah, I think you guys should go record with Seth. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Everything sounds really great. He's not super expensive." And so we got in touch with him, and that's what started with I Was Never Meant to Stay. And then it was just like immediately like a good friendship, honestly. Like he's easy to get along with, easy to talk to. He's kind of like another member, I guess. And we just wanted to keep going back, and we're still going to continue to go to him probably forever, maybe.
Forever. Well, when you initially started, back with Seth then, and you were an independent band, has anything changed since you signed with Hopeless?
Like with recording?
Yeah, with any of your recording process. Like, I would have said, just from the outside, if I had been like, oh, they did their 2 EPs independently and then did Time after signing with Hopeless, people might think that they have, some kind of influence on your music, but I know that isn't true. So I was wondering, with anything to do with music, with producing, does Hopeless have any effect on that?
No, they are all for whatever sound we want to do. It's the music is all us, and
that's great.
It always will be.
Yeah,
I don't want anyone to kind of tell us how to sound and how not to sound.
Right.
That would take away from us being a band, I feel like. And Hopeless is they're a great label to be with. They loved everything that we were doing in the studio, and they were like, wow, this is really cool. Like, keep this up, keep sending us more stuff.
For sure.
Which was good. Very good.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So when you talk about being your own band, writing your lyrics, obviously you're dealing with a lot of topics that are, they can be rather depressing, but I think people can also find a lot of positivity in what you write. What is your normal writing style? Do you write with the band? Do you write by yourself? What do you normally do?
With this record, I kind of wrote stuff just on my own.
Okay.
Not really to any music yet. And we would get together and I'd kind of piece things together. And a lot of it really came together in the studio. Like when we were able to just really sit down with a song that I had all these words for, and we would just piece it all together right there. Like I knew kind of what we wanted to go for. Like you said, like some of it sounds depressing and it can be taken that way, but at the end of the record, it's really just like towards the end and through it all, it's all about like no matter what, like things will get better, and it's a positive record and a sad record all in one, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it does. I mean, if you even think about it, if you were just to listen to the very first track, that's a very positive message right there. And like we mentioned before, when you go through the album, you hear remnants of that track. So when you have a track, like obviously one of the singles was Breath. And I know a lot of people know the backstory of that. It deals with, a loss of a person that was close to you that you hadn't been in contact with for a while, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. When you have a, you're bearing your soul on a track like that, when you play that live every night, does it take away from that feeling that you have? Do you find that diluting, or does it actually increase?
Oh, it definitely increases it. It's always there, especially for that track. I don't think that track will ever feel any different at all.
As an artist, do you ever worry about that? Like, I'm assuming that that's kind of happened with some of the tracks off of, the previous 2 EPs, but is that something when you write and then you play it live, do you ever worry that will happen?
With the new stuff, no. With the old stuff, yes. Because the old stuff, lyrically, like, to me, it wasn't. I mean, I guess it was important at the time, but looking back on it, I don't really care for that situation or whatever the songs were about then.
Sure.
I guess you could say a lot of them were about relationship stuff, friendship, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But these songs are just different. They're a lot more meaningful to us, and especially to me, especially Breath.
Right.
I grew up with that person, and that was like whenever we were tracking that, that was just like really kind of a moment in the studio,
Mhm.
and definitely something that we will always feel live, no matter what, with this new stuff. I don't have any doubt in that whatsoever.
Very well put. On that same note, you could almost call this probably a concept album, in a way. But
Yeah,
I know a lot of artists like to, you like to sing about something personal that happened, but then you kind of like the lyrics to hit people in their own emotions. So my question would be, it's early on in the tour, but have you had people come over to you and talk to you about personal moments that they've related? Like something like for Breath. Has anyone come over to you and been like, that hits me because of a similar instance that happened to me?
just about every single night.
Wow.
Someone will come up, and because before or after the song, I will explain what that song is to me and what it's about.
Ah,
And I know that's something that is very happens a lot in the world today, unfortunately.
right.
And a lot of people can kind of relate to that. And I feel like it, even if I don't say exactly what it's about, people will still come up and say, like, I've lost someone. This song has helped me, like, whether it be suicide or just death in general.
Mhm.
Someone has always been saying that they can relate to that song every night, which is amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, in a way, obviously, it's devastating to have to hear about that and to kind of share that. But in a way, it's also really uplifting and positive that people are finding, something in your lyrics, something that you wrote that has affected them and made them feel better in a way.
Oh yeah, it means the absolute world to me, and I never thought that something I wrote would make people feel that way, and it's literally like the greatest thing ever. I
Wow.
love it.
Man, no, that's that is great to hear. And I really think I know you've got a show tonight that you have to go prepare for. I think I got a lot out there that I wanted to, but I think this is a really good place to kind of end. So we'll make sure to have links in the description of the episode so that way we can, let everyone know how the tour is going, let everyone know how they can pick up, the new record Time. I think that's awesome. And I just want to thank you a lot for, taking the time out, especially on tour. I know that can be very difficult to talk about Time, and then also, congratulate you again on such a great album.
Thank you so much. Seriously.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to Scene Daddy Interviews.
Thank you all for listening to Scene Daddy Interviews. Make sure you support the artists we featured by checking out the summary of the episode. Also, for all your scene news, reviews, and memes, make sure to follow Scene Daddy and Ian Hates on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe and rate Scene Daddy Interviews on your favorite podcast listening app for more great artist interviews in the future. Stay seen.